Good evening, Internet. Welcome to Cyber Wizard Institute 2 Digital Boogaloo. This little interactive lecture is about a couple of things. It's about Markdown, and then it's about writing a module that uses a popular Markdown module as a dependency to add some custom expressiveness to Markdown. So we're going to talk about Markdown real quick. I'm going to write we'll just look at some Markdown. I'm going to create a new fake Markdown file. So if you're used to looking at GitHub, these READMEs are almost all written in Markdown. Markdown is a superset of HTML. Most of you all know this, I guess. So basically, it's designed to be a quick way to write HTML, basic HTML. And as a superset, that means that you can put HTML directly in your Markdown file, and it will leave it alone. I think the exception being you can put Markdown inside of span tags. I'm not positive on that. But otherwise, it's about composing HTML really quickly, and then a parser does the rest for you. So, for instance, headers are made using the pound. So this is header 1, which would be equivalent to this. This is Markdown. Put through the parser, this is what would come out. And I think so. There's a popular Markdown module. You don't need to write a Markdown parser. There's probably one available for your favorite language. In our case, there's this one called Marked. So we'll go over here to npm. We'll just search for it. Oops. Headers. This would be an H2, H3, and an H4. You can also create unordered lists. Oops. So there's unordered lists and ordered lists, but HTML just puts them in the same order anyways, I believe, so I don't know if it matters. So you can do, oops. I'm just guessing Marked has a command line interface, so I'm gonna see if this works. There. So I just passed the Marked command line tool available on npm, the same module that we're going to use programmatically in a moment. I gave it the file, and you can see what it spit out there. You can do this. You can do this with It's also got support for images and links. I think with an image, use a bang at the beginning of this. So the link goes in between brackets. The link text goes between brackets, and between parentheses, the href. Same thing with an image. Typos. So I'm being cheeky. Uh-oh. Let's see. All right, so you can see at the bottom there, A span. Oh no, I didn't get the image one right. It still did an A tag. All right, what's going on here with my? What's going on? Anybody know the answer to this? How to do an image?
Exclamation mark goes on the outside of the square bracket.
The exclamation mark goes on the outside. Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So there we go. It also puts any new line text in its own p tag. So let's go back into that. Text, text, text. Yak, yak, yak. So you can see you put them all in their own p tags. If you don't separate them with a line, it'll just put them in the same p tag, which is kind of annoying in my opinion, but that's the way it is. So that was just some brief markdown. There's definitely some other things. Like I said, you can embed HTML directly in it. So handy, and we write most of our readmes in it nowadays. So that brings us to the module, which is we want to add. Oh, you know what? Let me just show you. We're missing some things here. There's also some things like this. You can use underlines. So you can see what we got here. We got when I used asterisks, I got the emphasis tag and the strong tag. When I just used underlines, I got the strong tag. It's like bold and italics. So the reason why I wanted to show that is because the goal now is to write a module that still parses Markdown, but allows us to replace these bracketed type of shorthand syntaxes with whatever we want. And he wrote us. This is I forked this from him just earlier today, and I only changed one thing, which was to simplify just the method that it would return, the major method, which would be to bracketize. That is, if you added you add a beginning bracket, an end bracket, and then what you want to replace it with, each one, the first and the second one. So you can see here, the first bracket is different from the end bracket, and then you have the replacement for the first bracket and the replacement for the second bracket. The poetry belongs to him. And he calls it the Markdown flavor maker. So that's the idea. So like down here, he was thinking about being able to add sort of a commenting thing to Markdown using, say, 4 @signs. And this is part of his open source project to help us, I think, all understand one another better through Socratic methodologies of managing arguments or something. Yeah. So I think this calls for some tests. And so we're going to write a couple of tests and then write a module to try to pass those tests. And now, I warn you, I almost never write tests. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not that kind of coder. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes they really do save you. Sometimes they really do save you some brain. So we're going to use this module called tape. And we're going to use the marked, no, we won't need it. Right? We're going to use Flavor Maker will require a module that write. So let's pull up the tape module as well. Tape. It's a test anything protocol thingy. Works in the browser, works in Node. Looks like this. So, my first question is, looking back at this specification, is it clear? Does everybody understand what we're trying to do here? We're trying to add bracket-like tokens to Markdown so that you can render whatever kind of HTML you want using your own shorthand. Not a bad idea, I think. So that means if you write something like this, as you can see, this has the 2 stars that are already part of Markdown. This drank, he says. So that would produce that strong tag. I can make this bigger. This is crazy. I usually make my text huge already. You can see what was the amplification there? We're at 300%. I was already at like 200%. That's me. So, anyways, you can see here. That's part of Markdown already. It's going to create the strong tags, but he wants to add a special class to this one. So he's got the plus plus. Well, up here, we added a new rule to bracketize the plus plus and the plus plus to replace the first plus plus with span class and the second one with a closure of the span. Similarly, we have this other one down here. So, my question is, what's likely to break the regular expressions that we have to write for this? Like somebody's going to come along maybe and try to bracketize using something that's going to break our regular expression matcher capture group thingy. In the meantime, I'm going to try to write some really some simple tests. A simple test. So what do we say here? I like to use words that make sense to me. So it's fun. good to move things because they can get tired and intimidated to the point of culture confrontation. Tries to do this. But this one I Okay, so I've set up a test here. Haven't written a lick of the module yet. Totally in uncharted territory. James, take over.
Well, there's a var in front of test that shouldn't be there.
Oh, yep.
And you should call t.n because tape is asynchronous protocol. Yep, looks good.
Okay. So, anyways, we've written the test here. What we're saying is up here we're calling the module that we're about to create. Down here we're going to use the method that we're going to export on it, which will change it to render these things as we want to. So down here we have a render, and we're just going to pass it a line of text. Plain text works in Markdown. It's going to render. Oh, actually, that's a good point, Johnny. What's going to happen here? It's going to come out as a p tag because it's going to get marked down. So, we've got a test. Now we have to make it pass. We can try to run. Okay, and very quickly, we'll just set up oops. I don't know if this is what it's going to end up looking like in the end, but I just want to set up something that'll fail real fast. Just got to do a quick test here. Okay, so the test ran and it failed. Expected, you can see it expected what we told it to expect, but it got nothing. You know, it didn't do what we wanted it to do. So now we have to go back here. to make this work? Does anybody have any ideas?
The A argument is the star,
Yep.
and you have to turn that into a span.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you have to put the P around everything. So you might as well find that when you render, I suppose.
You'll need to keep some state around to store the operations, the replacements that you're going to perform.
Will an object work?
Sure.
Yes. So, oh, by the way, we realized. So he and I talked about it. We were speccing out the module. You know, from the perspective of from my perspective, this specification came out all right. He could go farther and actually write the tests himself if he wanted to. But in talking about it, we had this sort of realization that if we create our new brackets, that we still want it to do parse markdown inside of those brackets. So you can see right here, he's using markdown to do a link. So he wants that link to still work. He wants people to that's what we're going for here. So this hinted to us that there was going to be an element of recursion where we go in, find that new rule, take out that piece, take the center of it, what's inside of it, run it through again to see if there aren't any other new rules inside of it, and then run it through the markdown parser itself, return that, come on back. So let's say let's just say I'm just going to store those rules. I don't know if that's how it'll end up being. Is that what you're talking about? State the new rules?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't need to state now.
Okay. All right. So we got some regexing to do here.
Do you need to do the regexes right there, or could you do them in the render function?
Oh, right. Yeah, all we need to do is set the rules here, right? Okay. The comment was to move the regexing down to the render. Is that right? Is it capital? It's capital, right?
Yeah. It's a camel case. The E is capitalized.
There we go. Two things I don't do often. Write tests, or write regular expressions. This is the kind of, most of the time I'm a reference type of programmer. I go find the references. I always know where to look, and then I just wend my way through those. And I know we just covered capture groups recently, but I had a really difficult time seeing the screen during that. And so capture groups, do you think this is a capture group type of situation? Because we want what's in between the brackets, our new brackets?
Yeah. So One difficult thing is that you'll need to use your rules to generate the regex. So maybe after you've called marked on the text, you could loop through your rules and update the text with string replacement.
So you think we should do pass it through Markdown first, and then do our new?
Yeah, because if there's already HTML in Markdown, Markdown might get weird about that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do that afterward, then it'll always just be what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
But if you need to override something that Marked already does, then that would be
Yeah, I don't think we should worry about I think we'll cut out overriding as a potential. I mean, I guess, yeah, no overriding. And this will work. This will work if somebody puts Markdown inside of their new rules, because Markdown will parse it first. All right.
Yeah.
So here's the try. We're going to parse it. We're just going to do the regular Markdown parsing first, which would be, say, marked text. Just that easy. So now, for each over the new rules.
Yeah.
Okay. What next? So if you're curious what this is not much different from what we had before still, which is what we got up here. This is still what we get. Right now, this would be our output still. So we need to. So you think I can do this with just a regular replace?
Yeah. You can look for the first pattern, which is plus plus, up to the second pattern, which is plus plus. Capture everything between those two, and then insert that into the other two arguments. As I understand.
Okay.
To find the correct test.
So this is how I usually handle regular expressions anyways, which is just to use the built-in string operations, match and replace. So if we say so we're going to get an index on the first plus plus.
You don't have to do that.
No?
No, you can just call render.replace, and the return value of that function will be the new value of render. So you'll update render in the loop. Well, so the first argument would be whatever regex you're going to construct, and the second argument is the replacement, which can be a function.
So
That would be the regex variable that you're constructing, but you would override your function.
but I would what?
If you move that statement down one line, then you can use the regex variable that you constructed.
Ah. Okay.
Well, and then you also make like a replacement value, but we don't have to do that just yet. You could, for starters, you could just type in some garbage text, and then if the regex is successful, then we should expect to see that string of garbage text in the output. We can deal with it later. And then render.replace does not update the render string, so you'll have to assign render to the output. Or just render equals. Yeah, and then you can just return it. Outside.
Ah, yes. This text is so big. Forget there is an outside.
Return render.
Render. Thank you.
Yeah, so now all we have to do is figure out a regex based on data.
All right. So,
You want to start at the leftmost position, so that's that upper caret. And look for 2 stars.
Yes, we want to find the first part of the pattern, which is rules index 0.
which is what?
Just rules index 0 because there's 4 elements in that array. And then you could do plus the string dot star question mark, which is a non-greedy match.
Dot star question mark?
Yeah. So dot star is a greedy match, meaning that it will expand out to be as long as possible. So if you had 2 rules in the same file, like you had a plus plus here, plus plus there, then that regular expression would expand out to be all of the extra space in between the 2 plus 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 plus.
Yeah.
Right. So when you put a question mark, the regex is non-greedy. So it tries instead to find the smallest match. So if you do that, you can put that dot star question mark inside of parentheses, and then that'll make it a capture group in the string. Yeah, in the string. And then that pattern will go up to rules index 1. So this will almost work. You should run it.
All right.
It will fail in a good way. It is descriptive.
Invalid expression.
Right, so the reason why you get that syntax error, see at the top, nothing to repeat, is because plus is a regex meta character, so that means something in regex.
Oh.
But there's a module, so the technique that you can do is you can replace plus with backslash plus. There's a module for that. It's called quote meta. I know because I wrote it. It's based on Perl's quote meta function. So I just copied that.
Oh. Quote.
Quote meta one word.
Quote me.
There it is.
Boom. Crazy.
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Still works. It's perfect. Doesn't need updates.
James, is this module still being maintained, James? It hasn't been touched in 3 years. Is it still safe? Has it?
Oh my god.
They're all tiny.
Yeah, it's super tiny. It doesn't need any updates ever. So that just takes a string as the argument and returns the string with the backslashes in it. So
All right.
You can just wrap that around the rules 0 and rules 1, and that's all. That's all you'll need to do.
There we go. Let's do it.
We gotta install it first.
Right. All right. test again?
Yeah. Get that.
Hey. All right then. So now we just need to replace the replace text with the replace text. Class, take out your replacers. Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, wait a minute. I sense a problem. I sense a problem, James. In this case, we're not replacing what comes in between the things. We're replacing the brackets themselves.
We're not replacing what comes between.
Yeah, we're not actually. In this case, we're not replacing the capture group.
Capture.
Yeah, we're replacing the plus plus on both sides, not the not
Right.
not with the capture.
So
on the side.
that's okay.
Okay.
Because that information is available when we go to the next step. So just back into them. So how the replacement works, the second argument, you can either use $1 to get at the first capture group. So if you just do $1, for example, you'll have as a string.
Ah.
So that's one way to do it. You can also pass in a function, and the first capture group will be argument 1. Not the first argument, the second argument, but arguments index 1.
Okay.
But if you just run that, you could put like some extra junk in the string just so you can see what it's going to do.
Where? Here?
Yeah.
Ah.
Getting closer.
There's the world. The world's back in it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so now you could just put in rules index 2 and 3 around the $1.
What's that?
Rules index 2 at the start and rules index 3 at the end. And you can also remove the console log. It's not needed anymore. Yeah.
Oops. Close. Where'd that new line come from?
Well, it was there all along.
Oh.
They expected the output.
So sometimes.
You can also call that trim on render if you don't care about white space.
Which do you think is the better go to know your white space or not? I was getting ready to change the test, guys. That's cheating.
Well, I think it's fair to change the test.
But the comment was that I could call
could add a new line, but I think the test is incorrect. The test should compare against a new line because the new line is supposed to be there.
There we go. That's what I was going to say. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Whoa.
Test passes. Any tests you think we could write that would
Well,
fail?
so maybe first we could change how the module works a little bit because the state is global right now.
All right.
And that means that you can't have more than one instance in the same program. Right, the new rules lives at the module level. So we could put that all inside of a closure and then return an object that has bracket ties and member functions. DTF equal sign. Anyways,
DTF equal sign? What's that?
that would have deleted up to the equal sign.
Oh.
It would have been way faster.
Yes. I'll do it on the next one.
Yeah.
This one was. So I can do this, right? What do you
Yeah.
think about this?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that stuff.
Boom. Let's do that again. Delete to equal sign. Now we've done all. Ooh, hey, look at that. Look at that. Nice clean module.
Yeah.
Oh, but those functions should move inside the closure.
Ah, correct.
Yeah.
Now we have to change the test up a little bit because now
Yep.
we need to do that. Test passing.
Git add. Git commit.
I can't use exclamation marks in my
Single quote.
single quote.
Bash has really stupid quoting rules.
That's why I can never get my exclamation marks in there. All right. So this should work for anything, right?
Yeah. What I would do is set up those rules inside of the test because then you can do different rules inside of each test.
Okay.
And also make the flavor maker instance. FM. FM. CW.
CW. What's that? Do it again.
Yeah. It just deletes the up to the next breakboard character.
Break word. Sort of like.
I don't know what the C is for, but it's
where was I?
yeah, and then the other test. Yeah.
And then it puts you into insert mode, CW.
Yep. And there's one more. The rendering place. Run it. Oh yeah, well, I did that. Didn't finish updating. Plus plus with $ dash. And then the assertion.
All right.
Run it. Oh, they're both called test 1, but whatever, it'll still work.
Passing tests.
I think it would probably be good to have a test case to cover when the replacement also has markdown, normal markdown around it.
Oh.
Like you could put a ****, and that should keep the EM in strong.
Maybe we should do it around the, well, this should work, but what about this?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, you didn't update the assertion. Wait, I would just copy paste the actual part, and then you could just put that into the assertion. That's pretty good.
Sorry, my user interface sucks here. The assertion was, so this is going to be, oh crap. That's why.
F comma.
Let me try to use this here, interface. Got it. How shall I delete all the way back to the beginning of the assertion?
D capital F comma. D F capital F. Or single
Oh, there's D capital F comma?
or single quote or space. There we go. Paste. But insert mode first. Bad things will F comment.
All right. How does that look? Hello. There it is. Looking good. Passes a more complex test. We saw. Putting Markdown inside of our new brackets. There it is. So the one of the lessons is that pair programming is awesome, and truly, you know, it's just that much easier. I got to put my shirt on.
You set up package.json.
We do have a package.json. Let's take a look at it. It came with coveralls. Is that going to run right there?
I don't know.
What's this cat cover? I guess I can let him do that.
But you can add a test.
So adding an npm script to automatically run the test, which npm will do automatically, right? If you have a test script.
No, but it's nice because then people can just type npm test and they don't have to figure out how your tests are supposed to work.
Do you usually put a test thing in, like right here, like say?
No,
Good.
you don't need that. It's just the scripts field. That's all. Yep.
We got coveralls, dependencies. Looks good.
Package.json scripts. Yeah. When you do implement it.
So this concludes building a module. Well, we haven't published it yet. Could publish it. Should we talk about versioning? Anybody know about versioning? How it goes in here? A little bit. It's kind of confusing. So, I guess, so am I correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. If we publish a passing version, say the first one, then it should be really version 1.0.0.
Well, Semver is weird when the first number is 0, but if you start at 1, then it gets less weird.
So starting at 1, it gets less weird.
Yeah.
So that would be your major versions. And after that, so I'll do that right now. We'll say npm version major there, and it bumps it to version 1. So now, the way it goes is, anytime I make a change nowadays, I'll bump this version. No, yeah, this version or this version.
Which?
If I just make any old change,
What kind of change?
a non-breaking change.
So a feature edition or
Um,
bug fix?
still compatible with previous versions,
But
but
is it,
feature editions.
so feature editions, you bump the minor one, which is the middle number. And for bug fixes, you can just bump the patch, which is the rightmost number. And then when you break stuff, you should bump the major version. These are just strong conventions so that people using your software will know what changed between versions and if they need to update their code.
Pretty major, pretty minor. These are like the main version. Those are also optional.
Those are probably scripts, which are lifecycle hooks. I wouldn't worry about those.
Yeah.
npm publish. Where do you have to sudo, John?
Do I not have to sudo anymore? I used to have to sudo.
You can see it showing your .npm directory. It's common for it to kind of messed up.
I thought public. I have that set for globals and such, but for some reason I always thought for publishing I had to use sudo, but that's because before I was messed up.
Yeah.
So, but I thought that it was, oh well, of course, if I'm publishing, it wants my password. Go internet. And that's it. Any questions? Good. The guy who asked me to write this module promised us pizza. So now
So
We'll work on that.
You just give birth to a brand new node module.
that's right.
You're like you just like give birth right now.
Publish
So
it
you
to the
wanna-
internet.
It was like that's awesome.
That's right.
Yeah, so we got to see like an inside look on the real world. The bloody mess. No, that's cool. Like that's what we should mention.
Yeah.
It's like it's always like
That's what it looks like.
yeah. So that's what it's like to give birth to a node module that can be used by millions of people.
That's right. It is
You got
now.
total help.
It's now
So that's
on
how
the-
it always is, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's helpful.
Yeah. So I used three other modules in there. Two of them
Yeah.
James had written, or at least contributed major parts to. Tape being one of them. And then I also use that marked module, which has been heavily worked on by lots of people. If you check out GitHub, it's been worked on by like 30 people. And I use it. A lot of people I know use it in various projects.
And it started out as someone, they were like, oh, I kind of want something like this, and they just talked to you, and then you just went and did it. It's really small, and that's what it's about.
Yep.
That's cool.
We spec'd it out. He just wrote the README. Literally, he wrote the README and set up the tests that he wanted, the particulars that he wanted, and then just wrote out basically a README. The documentation of how he wanted it to work. We talked about it a little, maybe 20 minutes, and I was like, yeah, we can do this.
That's cool, like, it's like compared to other systems, you don't really need to ask a lot of information from a lot of people. It's just like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You're not familiar with
I am, but I'm just asking the questions so people that don't